Is that a question?
Everything I say up here is a question.
Okay.
Well, that wasn't.
I came back and I said, where did Higgins go? They said he left, correct?
Sure, yes.
I don't know if that's the verbiage I used, but I left.
Why the rush?
Because it was a long day and I just wanted to go home.
Except you didn't go home, did you?
No, I went back to Canton PD.
The Irish exit is very critical to Higgy Bear's defense.
And I usually did the Irish exit. The Jeep Cherokee, the Jeep Wrangler.
It's kind of a nightmare.
Like a nightmare. I decided it was a long day, it was an emotional day, and I decided to join them.
Did you drive your vehicle over there?
Yes, I did.
After having as many as 4 whiskeys?
Yes.
Sean Goode, Goode.
This is Officer Sean Goode from the Canton Police Department. He was there the morning John O'Keefe was killed by Brian Higgins. Let's watch.
Midnight sergeant and 2 days patrol traffic.
Brian Higgins.
He works for the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives.
It's a federal agency. He has a satellite office in our department. He has his own scan card. You know, he doesn't have to check in with myself or anybody. He works out of our station.
Sergeant Goode was at Canton PD after Brian Higgins attacked John O'Keefe and when Brian Higgins came back to the police station for some unknown reason. Let's keep watching.
Agent Higgins has worked on certain calls, helped us out, whether it be a firearm case, stuff like that.
Now, on that evening of the 28th, and specifically the early morning of January 29th, what, if anything, do you recall as far as seeing Brian Higgins around the Canton Police Station?
I remember at one point during the evening, he came in. I don't remember if he came into the dispatch or if I just saw him on one of the numerous monitors we have in dispatch. I can't leave that room because I'm the only one in the building on midnights.
And so you come into the station, you go by the dispatch, is that correct?
So as I'm walking down the hallway, dispatch would be off to the right, a wooden door with 2 glass panes.
As far as the Canton Police Station is concerned, are you familiar with or were you aware at the time that there is sort of security and cameras and such around the station?
Yes.
You're aware that those cameras record, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you happen to go by the dispatch area specifically, and if so, do you know who was working there that night?
Newly promoted Sergeant Goode, I believe. He was on midnights.
Do you have any specific recollection of seeing him there that evening or that early morning when you came by?
I believe I waved to him.
You went to your office to get a key, correct?
Yes.
And why had you left the key to one of the vehicles in the office?
So as I stated earlier, I anticipated not even being back in Massachusetts, knew the storm was coming, didn't know how bad it was, but I left the key on the desk to facilitate somebody being able to move that.
Since we've been observing Higgy Bear in his natural habitat for such a long time, we can tell when he's trying to use a cute story in order to throw us off and be deceptive. Here he's trying to claim that he left the key on the desk for his various vehicles that he parked in the Canton Police Station parking lot in order to facilitate someone to move them in the event there was a snowstorm.
And so you go to your office, you get the key, and then where did you go from there?
I go back downstairs and I move the vehicles to the center of the parking lot.
We never talked or anything like that. Didn't think anything of it. It's not uncommon.
Recall around what time that occurred?
I believe it was probably 1:30. Again, I wasn't looking at a clock to see.
Now, with respect to the parking lot area of the Canton Police Station, substantial amount of snow. What, if anything, do you do with regard to the vehicles in the parking lot in reference to that kind of weather?
We try to move all the cars that we're not using. That would be on a midnight shift. It's any of our unmarked detectives' cars, any of the patrol vehicles that aren't being used. We try to help out the DPW, which is the Department of Public Works, as best as possible when they try to plow our station. Because if not, all it ends up being is just one trail through the parking lot. It's kind of a nightmare.
Like a nightmare.
Nightmare. With the help of the other patrolmen, if we can get all the keys, sometimes they're not easily located, we try to move the cars to the outer edge of the parking lot so that DPW can make a good pass, and then we'll move them back over.
With regard to some of those other agents like Mr. Higgins that you talked about, what, if any, vehicles would they have within that parking area?
He had federal cars there that he used on cases, and I believe he had 2. They'd be, I guess, his cruisers. They were Dodge pickups.
Now, you leave the residence at 34 Fairview, and where did you go from there?
I went back to the Canton Police.
And why was it that you went back to the Canton Police Station?
Well, we had traveled down for the services for those police officers, and we anticipated staying the following day. I think I had said that we left a day earlier.
When you train a witness, it's imperative that they listen to the question and simply answer it. It takes time and it takes a lot of practice in order to get a truthful, authentic answer that doesn't give any additional information. We know from studying Higgy Bear in his natural habitat, he simply can't do this. And whenever he starts with a cute little story, we know it's an indicator of deception.
I had left a key to the surveillance vehicle on top of my desk so that somebody could move the vehicle because a lot of times Chief Berkowitz would get after me. As a courtesy, I was parking vehicles there, sometimes my personal, but primarily my work vehicles. And one thing he asked me, just leave the vehicles in the middle of the parking lot so that snow could be cleared. So the reason for heading back there was to move those vehicles, because if I didn't do it then, I would have had to get up early and do it.
That's a very cute story by Higgy Bear, except for one major flaw. He left the key on his desk so that the flunkies at the Canton police station can move the cars. He didn't need to go back to the police station to move those cars. He knew that those flunkies who looked up to him so much had an easy way to do it because he left the key there. There was absolutely no reason for him to go back to that police station to move those cars.
And I also know they plow through the night, so that would be the reason for heading back. And then over in the corner would typically where I would bury both vehicles. So if I was, typically it would be my take-home pickup truck that I described earlier, and it would be the surveillance vehicle. But if I had, that could be swapped out with one of my personal vehicles. I would leave a personal vehicle there if I took one of those two vehicles. And then for me to access into the building, the most direct door would be that pass-through door by the Sally Port.
And sort of that back area, is that typically where you would park?
Yes.
Where are you going within the police station when you went?
So I'm going up to I was going up to my office to grab the key for that surveillance vehicle. So.
And despite coming up with this cute story for the reason he had to go back to the police station drunk at 1:30 to move cars because of a little fluffy snow on the ground, he really gives us an insight into what he was trying to do. There was no reason for him to go back and move the cars at that time because the key was right on the desk.
When you come through that pass-through door at the Sally Port, the first door would be through the booking and the holding area that directly goes into the dispatch area. But if you walk to the extreme other end, there's another door on the other end, common hallway. I'd walk down that hallway, hit a set of stairs, and I would go up that way.
And then with regard to those vehicles, in regard to snow removal, what, if anything, was typically done with regard to that?
They were parked to the outer edge, so we don't have access to them. At least I didn't have access to them.
So Goode's claiming the cars need to be parked on the outer edge. Higgy Bear's claiming that they need to be moved to the middle. I don't know who's telling the truth, but it doesn't really matter.
At least I didn't have access to them.
How far a drive is it from Fairview to the police station?
Well, I mean, the weather was picking up, so it probably took me a little bit longer to get back, but it's probably 5-10 minutes.
Another poor answer by Higgy Bear. He wasn't properly prepared by his lawyer. He was asked, how far is it from 34 Fairview to Canton Police Station? The answer could be either 5 minutes or 5 miles. However, he needed to use this cute little story at the beginning telling us about the weather, which nobody asked for, which is a huge indicator of deception.
Maybe.
Okay, stop.
Yes, the time is 1:27:32 a.m.
And that's Higgy Bear's Jeep arriving at 12:27. If it really did take him 10 minutes to get there, that would mean that he left 34 Fairview at approximately 1:17 in the morning.
And the date is 1/29/2022.
At some point you leave, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know about how long it was after you moved the vehicles around that you left Canton PD?
Not long, but I'd be guessing if I gave you a time.
And so where did you go from there?
I went back to West Roxbury.
And which vehicle that you've described, which of those vehicles did you use to get from Canton PD to West Roxbury?
The Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler.
That sounds like a Freudian slip from Higgy Bear. He referenced the vehicle Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler. There's a huge difference between a girly Jeep Wrangler and a Jeep Cherokee. It is very plausible that a Jeep Cherokee was parked outside 34 Fairview when they were moving John's body in front of the flagpole. However, we're not 100% sure with regard to that, although this answer is very suspect.
Sorry.
If you know about what time was it that you got home to West Roxbury?
While Higgy Bear is pausing, trying to figure out exactly what time he should have went back to Roxbury, it's very plausible that he went back to 34 Fairview in order to facilitate moving John's body from wherever it was to the flagpole with Brian Albert's help.
Could have been somewhere around 20 to 2. I'm not 100% positive.
So sometime between 1:30 and 2 a.m., is that roughly around?
Yes.
And when you get home,
That's a huge indicator of deception. When you're under stress, your body's trying to go into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Since Higgy Bear can't fight, flight, or freeze, his body will mask all that extra energy that's being transferred to his limbs to fight, flight, or freeze in a grooming pattern, meaning he'll do a grooming technique in order to get rid of that extra energy.
well, do you recall like what it was that you did when you got home?
Well, it was a long day. It was a long day. We had been on the road. I just was looking to get home. Usually did the Irish exit.
It had been a long day, yes.
It was a long day. Well, it was a long day. We both had the same long day, kind of do the Irish exit. We had traveled, the traffic, it just seemed like it dragged on forever.
We know that Higgy Bear and Brian Albert had to come up with a story, and one of the themes that they used was that they had a long day and also the Irish exit. The Irish exit is very critical to Higgy Bear's defense. He knows that he left 34 Fairview without saying goodbye to anyone. Just in case anyone mentioned the fact that he never said goodbye, he can now rely upon the fact that he used the Irish exit multiple times in the past. When he's referring to Irish exit during his testimony, he's not referring to 34 Fairview and leaving after killing John. He's referring to other events. He's setting up this alibi in the event one of those kids slips up and happens to say, I didn't see Brian Higgins leave.
I decided it was a long day,
How long did you stay at the Albert residence in total, from the time you got there till the time you left?
maybe like a half hour, less than an hour.
And what time did you leave?
I think I said between 12:30 and 1 a.m.
Based upon the surveillance video, you know that's a lie. He left approximately 1:15.
You indicated that you pretty much didn't say goodbye to anybody, right?
At the house,
Correct.
I just kind of left. I said, see you later, turn around, left. I didn't always take them up on their offer, and I usually did the Irish exit. Yes, because I'm always saying I'm going to show up, and then I kind of do the Irish exit.
As a matter of fact, at that same hearing, your statement was, I made a beeline out of there, correct?
I don't know if that's the verbiage I used, but I left
Why the rush?
because it was a long day and I just wanted to go home.
Except you didn't go home, did you?
No, I went back to Canton PD.
Right.
You also didn't recall Mr. Higgins ever saying goodbye to you or your group, correct?
I believe that's true, yeah.
In fact, you actually testified that at some point Mr. Higgins just wasn't there anymore.
Usually did the Irish exit, and then I kind of do the Irish exit.
I must have gone to the bathroom or something. I came back and I said, where did Higgins go? And they said he left, correct?
Sure, yes. I know that my father was in the room with us. I'm saying I don't know when Brian Higgins left the house and when.
Uh-oh, that's big trouble for our big boy. We know that there's only 10 possible people in the entire world that could have killed John O'Keefe, and 2 of them are unaccounted for during the very specific time that John O'Keefe was walking towards the house.
Brian Higgins left the house, then my father went upstairs into his bedroom.
But what you actually said, I'm pretty sure Mr. Higgins left first before my dad went upstairs because he wouldn't have left if his friend was still there, correct?
I see what you're saying. Yes, but I still say that my dad wouldn't have went upstairs until Brian Higgins left the house.
Right, and that's based on an assumption, correct?
Sure.
So it wasn't such a long day that you actually drove home. You went back to the Canton Police Department at 1 or 1:30 in the morning, correct?
To move vehicles, correct.
Okay, stop.
Yes, the time is 1:27:32 a.m.
And you said, quote, I'm not sure if Brian Higgins was still there. I know he left at some point. Do you recall that testimony?
I mean, I know he left my house at some point. I just don't know exactly when it was.
You were asked specifically at the time that you looked out the window who was there, and you said, I'm not sure if Brian Higgins was there.
That's at 12:24 after Karen arrived, but before Ricky's F-150 pulled up. That means Brian Higgins wasn't even in the house during that particular time. And thanks to Brian Albert Jr. here, he doesn't even know when Brian Higgins left.
Okay, if I said that, yes, because I was not sure. I'm still not sure that if he was there or not.
Brian Higgins, old Higgy Bear, isn't the brightest. He utilizes cute little stories in order to make his stories seem plausible. Most of the time that he does it, it's deceptive and a huge indicator of deception because he's not telling the truth. Here he said he usually would do the Irish exit, which means getting drunk, getting into a fight, and impregnating your wife for the 17th time. However, he didn't use the Irish exit when he left 34 Fairview. He wasn't really even in the house, and he knows that these kids probably are going to say, I don't know where the hell Brian Higgins went. And since there was so few people there, he naturally would have said goodbye. Brian Higgins was setting that jury up, and we can see it very clearly here. But no matter what, we are never going to stop producing these videos until the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
is brought to justice. This crime was very simple to solve because it took place within a very small area over a very short period of time with a very limited amount of suspects. One or more of these 10 people has to be the killer of John O'Keefe. That's how easy this is. Once you remove the kids and the McCabe's, you're down to just 3 suspects: Brian Albert, Higgy Bear, and Chloe. Since Chloe's a good dog, she didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I'm a good dog. I didn't do it.
So that leaves just 2 suspects, Brian Albert and Higgy Bear. But of the 2 Brians, only one had the means, motive, and opportunity to kill John O'Keefe. And that's our old cuddly but violent Higgy Bear. Once we had all the facts and didn't jump to conclusions, do you see how easy it was to solve this crime?